Hello and welcome to the Rough Idea podcast. We're back after forever. I mean, we were back like last week, but I've not been around. With a topical podcast, we have like 5 or 4 different topics, 3 every 2 weeks, and this episode is about anime. We've only done one of those so far because of how the schedule ended up. But I'm Nick still. And I've still not watched any sports anime, technically.
I'm Sylth, and I watch all of the gay sports anime.
And I'm Yoshi, and I basically watch either really feel-good stuff or really depressing shit.
I mean, that's like
Nice.
everyone, really, though, isn't it?
I mean, like no middle ground, nothing in the middle.
It's the typical I watch good anime. You know, you're like I only watch the good stuff. You know, the really light-hearted things, and then the stuff that really makes you question life.
I wait 3 or 4 years to see what people think of anime, and then I watch it.
That is a really big time period, though. That's like I'm giving this a 4-year trial. We'll see what everyone else thinks.
Wait for all the reviews to come in, and then wait for the hype to die down, and then wait for people to comment on it afterwards, and then I'll see what they say.
Well, it works, generally. From what I know you've watched, at least, you've watched generally pretty good stuff, so...
There's probably been some shit in there.
Yeah, probably, but you know.
Should we get into the news?
Yes, before we get too sidetracked, let's get into the news. So, what's first?
Well, I guess there was the voice actor strike.
Yes.
Where people are fighting for better pay. Where even the voice actor of Vegeta from Dragon Ball spoke out on Twitter, saying that he stands with all the other voice actors because they don't get that much respect. And I can't remember who that was told this. I think it might have been Tara Strong, one of the most famous voice actors ever.
She's in basically everything. As far as dubs go.
Yeah, I think it was her. She was told by one of the higher ups that your performance doesn't matter.
Oh.
So it spawned a hashtag. It spawned a hashtag on Twitter saying performance matters.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, I saw I saw a tweet from Cassandra Lee Morris about it, who again is one of the well-known English VAs, who this is going back a week or two now, but saw her tweet. That's pretty much all I've seen actually on the whole issue with it. I saw this tweet, I was like, whoa, clearly something big's happening. But yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the only thing I've seen was people discussing it over Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, that sort of thing, and that meant it could only end badly because you had loads of people just going, "Why are they complaining? It's a job. As long as they get paid, it should be fine." And it's just like, no, for fuck's sake, guys, really?
That's not really how jobs work. Trust Reddit. Trust Reddit. Yeah, that's certainly a shock to hear that someone would actually say
because the way they get paid, say they get paid hourly, and it's $800 an hour. You'd think, oh wow, what have they got to complain about? But if they're only signed up to one game in the near future that they know about, and they only have to do recording for 3 or 4 hours, that'll be what was that? 800 times 3.
It's 2 or 3K.
Yeah.
Depending.
Yeah, and if that's the only job you have for the whole year, you're not going to survive on that.
Right, I was going to say, there's some roles that have barely any talking as well, so it doesn't matter if it's however much per hour if you're only doing 20 minutes. Obviously, slight exaggeration there, but...
I mean, I suppose that is probably why that's the there are so many big you initially look at the big names in the industry, I guess, and go, oh, they're in everything. That must be because everyone wants them. It's I mean, on one hand, yes, but also if they're in everything, it means they might have a decent reliable income through the year as well.
And also, it would make sense then that nobody else wants to go into voice acting if this is how
Also
badly
true.
it pays. Like,
I don't think voice acting would be that bad, aside from the conditions of the industry, but, you know.
It would be really cool, but it's not going to be supporting,
Yes.
so it's only good enough for people who can already support themselves on something else and then do voice acting.
Yeah, that is true.
Or are really well known already.
I know that at least in Japan they have A-list voice actors, so if people really want a famous voice, then those people earn way more. But it's different for anime and games. I think I can't remember if it's games or anime that are kind of like seen as the lowest rung on the ladder.
In Japan.
What, over here or in Japan?
Oh yeah, I guess it does matter if it's dub or the original sound.
Well, like in Japan as well, there's loads of things for like some of the VAs, like you say, are huge names.
Kanahao Nozawa, as an example. Just throwing that out there. I know names.
That's good, because my example is going to be fucking years old by this point.
Like Japan's probably anime. It's like higher up because they have all sorts of like extra stuff, like radio shows and things like that, where they get the saves in. But yeah.
I know there was a chart. Do you know the anime Shirobako?
Yes.
Heard of.
Yeah, it's basically an anime about what it's like to make anime, and there's a chart where the A-list voice actors make like hundreds and hundreds the amount of keyframe animators. So I think that it wouldn't apply to Japanese voice acting. It's probably like dubbing.
I mean, to be fair, part of that just comes from the animating industry in Japan as a whole, and how like poorly paid that is. Like that in itself is a whole other nutcase, I guess, or issue.
Yeah, I guess then you start looking into as well, like Japan, what attitudes to work and things like that, and it opens up so many other topics and arguments.
Has there been like a resolution to the strike yet, by the way?
I haven't heard about any resolution. All I know is that people have been spamming the hashtag performance matters on Twitter, but I haven't heard if anything's come about from it yet, because I'm pretty sure what people want is a fairer like wages, or at least I know they want royalties. They don't get much royalties.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
royalties are a bit awkward to manage though when it comes to localizing something, surely, because like I mean I'm not too familiar with how royalties work, but it seems like if you localized it, you might still get some, but I'm not sure exactly how much you would get in the first place, and then you'd be then expected to pass some on to the voice actors, and I don't know. But I do hope something good actually comes out of it, even though I'm skeptical.
Yeah. Like the first time I ever found out about how I guess mistreated or underpaid voice actors are was with the Silent Hill HD collection.
Yeah.
Because when that came out, they didn't want to bring back the original voice actors, and the voice acting in that game is like A+, top-notch, superb, that's good shit.
Yeah.
And it really matters how they deliver their lines. And the original voice actors weren't contacted. And what happened was they recast them, and so that they wouldn't have to pay royalties if they had to use like old video clips. And the port itself was absolute trash. I only recently found out about a new mistake that the port made, which was they replaced the font on one of the signs in the forest that said.
Please don't say
it said Silent Hill.
I'm expecting the text goes off the sign.
It said Silent Hill Ranch in a kind of like worn out font you'd see on a wooden sign.
Yeah.
And then you see the exact same sign in the HD collection. And it's fucking Comic Sans.
Oh, it
is as well.
Oh my god.
No. Oh, I think someone would actually do that. No. Oh no.
It was just so that game just keeps on giving.
I've never hated myself so much for being right about something. Oh. Oh. No, that's awful.
Yeah, but at least in that case, stuff did get sorted out, and at least the collection turned out to be really shit. So I guess karma in a way.
We'll have to go back on to... We've gone to games here. We'll go back to anime in a second. But is this the one where they reveal the fact that they've lost all the original source files? And so they had to recreate half the game from scratch?
Wow. How do you do that?
Mm.
Oh no, that's awful.
Yeah, that's the exact same game.
Oh,
yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have for horrible voice acting and voice actor strikes.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing on the list, I think, was the nice big scandal that happened in Tokyo last week, I think.
Yeah, the banning of crossplay, specifically
male to females.
Men were banned from crossplaying as female characters because the person that I heard talk about this, they were reading off some Japanese websites, so it's their translation. It was because they didn't want lots of old men running around as girls.
I mean,
those are some of the best cosplays, though.
So
I know.
The thing about it for me, I woke up late on that day. I saw, but like I went on the internet as I do. I was like, I'm gonna check Reddit, see what's happening. At the top of the anime subreddit, this headline, male crossplay banned at Tokyo Comic Con. I was like, wow, what's the world coming to? Looked at it, everyone going mental in the comments, and then I scrolled down the page, and about 9 hours after that one had been posted, there was another one saying, male crossplay ban repealed by at Tokyo Comic Con, because they then realized how much people were bothered by the fact that they'd banned it, amongst other things. But that was obviously the big one that everyone went on about.
Well, they probably realized that oh shit, half of our customers want a refund.
Yeah. Well,
or something like that.
They then released a statement after, while saying what they're doing instead is they're giving everyone a badge that's like whether like right. So when people come to the con, because like it works slightly differently in Japan, because I mean here you might have people get ready and then go to the con, but most of them in Japan they get ready there. Like they travel like any standard person on the busy public transport. They blend into the crowd. They get there, then they change, and so when people arrive, they're planning to give them badges to say whether they're male or female, and so that you don't. Cause one of the reasons they stated for banning it in the first place is so that you didn't have guys going into the female dressing rooms and things like that. So if they give them badges, then they'll be going to the correctly assigned bathrooms, and it's
right.
Do they have Apache helicopter badges?
I hope so. Like it's got its own problems stemming from that solution.
There are so many issues with that. Still,
I read it and I just thought it was hilarious. So I was like, well, that's one way to do it, I guess. But
I mean, if they've been having problems with that kind of thing for a while, then maybe I'd understand. But I haven't heard of any stories about men going into women's dressing rooms in Japan Comic-Cons or vice versa.
It sounds like something that would come out of like right-wing America. Like
yes, it does.
Yeah, that was why I was so shocked. Like, really, in Japan?
Yeah. I mean,
like this is the thing. Saying about the original band, like one of the first conventions I ever went to, like 10 years ago or something. There was this like person we got talking to who was about my age, and she was just like talking to us about her cosplay and stuff. She was like, "Oh yeah, my dad's here. He decided to come in cosplay."
Oh boy.
Yeah. So AnimeCon has a thing where you're able to go with your 16, but you get a different badge if you're over 18, and you have to go with somebody who's over 18 if you're under 18.
Yeah.
She was under 18, so he went along with her. He's like this 40-year-old guy cosplayed as Chun-Li.
Yes. Nice.
And just for like the entire weekend, everyone was calling him Chin-Li. And that was amazing. Everyone loved it.
Why?
Of course everyone's gonna love it.
But that's the thing, it was like, that was like 10 years ago, and that has stuck in my mind. Like,
I mean,
people love things like that, and it really just, like, it's one of those nice things that people can do, and like, it kind of brings people together in a weird way. Why would they try and ban it in the first place? That's so bizarre.
Yeah, well, it's like, at the very least, the change in ban means that what will probably end up happening, there's going to be a lot of like Felix cosplays at Tokyo Comic Con, because that's not quite the same thing, but essentially well, you won't know this, Kieran, probably, but in spring and summer, there was quite a big series airing that lots of people were talking about, ReZero, and there's a character in it who's a guy who dresses as a girl, like all the time. And so there's been people there's been guys cosplaying him. So that's kind of cross-playing, but not really, because they're cosplaying a guy. And at the very least, that means that that's not going to become a whole like issue of people going, well, I'm not cross-playing, I'm just cosplaying a trap, you know?
Yeah, we had the same issue with Final Fantasy IX and Keijo before, where it's like, Keijo is technically male, but is incredibly effeminate.
Yes.
Like, does this count as crossplay or not?
Yeah. But yeah, so...
but yeah, at least it got repealed.
Yes, at least the world
true.
didn't go to complete shit and they turned back their decision. I'm just doing that thing where everything that sounds really weird on the internet is clearly sacred and needs to be held to the highest regard. But yeah. So, what's next?
Ash got the first base finally after how long has it been? 20 years?
20 years.
Something like that, yeah.
20 years. My boy Ash. He made it.
Did either of you see it?
I've seen the scene. I've seen the scene. It's quite cutesy the way they do it.
But the one I saw, they don't even show it.
Yeah, they don't. They're
it's
never
implied.
gonna. They like barely show kissing in anime anyway, so they just make it as heavily implied as they possibly can. Like they show she runs back up the escalator, and then like they show like their legs down, and you can see that she's leaning up towards him, and then like the next shot,
and then the
she's
escalator just
and the next shot she's backing off, and Ash is just stood there like, what the fuck's going on? And the other two non-important characters are just stood in the back with red faces like, I can't believe what I've just seen, how embarrassing. Oh, shameful.
So it's not exactly subtle.
Yeah, that's the thing, it's anime. They like, there's certain stuff they just won't show. Like, very few studios will ever actually show kissing, but they do everything they can to tell you there's a kiss without the kiss. They're just like, no on-screen kissing. That's too much. So we'll just make it incredibly obvious, like overly obvious and stupid. But
what if it's on screen but through a mirror?
I'm just liking the fact
technically not on screen.
I'm just loving the fact that kissing is apparently too much, but later on we're going to be talking about Keijo.
Mate, don't go there.
Like, dude, Kieran, there's no kissing in Keijo. God damn it!
All right, true. I don't know if there's been anything
as I don't think they've even got to anything as lewd as hand holding. Never mind kissing in Keijo. Keijo's completely PG-13 safe. Something like that.
The funny thing about that scene was when they show you the legs and she kind of leans up and then slowly the escalator starts dragging her back. I just want to think that like she's leaning up to kiss him, but he's not kissing her, and she's just slowly being dragged away by the escalator.
I mean, one thing I will say about the scene definitely is that Ash still managed to be lame as he could possibly be in that situation. Like, he finally gets there, and then he just kind of feels completely out of place as a character. because like she's going. They've said their goodbyes, and then she turns around, yells his name, runs up the escalator. He turns around. He's like, "What?" And then it shows the leaning in, and then she's slowly going down, smiling, rosy cheeks, the usual shit. And then she just like yells out, "Thanks." And then he's just stood there looking blank as hell. Everyone else red faces. He's just blank. That's just he's just like, okay. And then goes, "See you." And it's like, all right. Nice one, mate.
And you know what? Next season, he probably won't even remember her.
Oh yeah, he won't. She's gonna fade into obscurity forever.
No, he'll just find someone else to be a total spanner towards instead.
Still not giving Misty's bike back. What an arsehole.
Which I guess is kind of to do with this topic. Did any of you see any of the previews for the Sun and Moon Pokemon series?
I've seen.
No.
I think I have actually, although it was like a month ago. But...
So they've changed the art style.
Yes.
And the Pokemon still look the same, but the people, especially Ash, look so much derpier.
Well, that's not really a problem. Ash is derpy anyway. Like.
Yeah, at least the art finally reflects that.
Exactly. See if I can find an image of it. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
But, I mean...
To be fair, Pokemon's never exactly looked good.
Well,
the monsters look cool.
That is true. I'm just looking forward to the chicken hat with Sun and Moon, like entirely in the anime, in the game, everything. I just want the little hat with the little bobbles on top that makes it look like the washing up glove that Feathers McGraw wears in Wallace and Gromit. That's the first thing I thought. That was my initial impression of Sun and Moon. Just the girl has a hat that's Feathers McGraw. I'm gonna call my character Feathers McGraw. It's gonna be great. Generally,
that hat is just like the crown of a cockerel. That's all I can think of.
Exactly. That is it. It's just like the crown of a cockerel, which is why it's like the rubber glove that Feathers McGraw puts on his head to like look like to be in disguise because he's a penguin.
Oh, that penguin.
Yeah.
It's the Wallace and Gromit thing, right?
Yeah. The penguin that robs a bank and wears a rubber glove on his head to disguise himself, so everyone thinks he's not a penguin. But yeah, that's what it is. I love it.
I hope they have a special episode just on Mimikyu.
Yeah,
they almost certainly will.
Probably.
It already looks like it's the most popular one in the new gen.
I mean, they actually gave Mimikyu his own song.
Oh no! I mean, there's a Slowpoke song. To be fair,
it's called the Mimikyu rap.
Oh no!
I mean, it does rap, but it's not like some kind of serious gangster rap. It's more like a calm ballady kind of rap where he sings like, "I'm Mimikyu and the sunlight hurts me. I just want to be your friend." Wow,
amazing. Right. What's the next thing on the list was Shelter, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. So Shelter.
Well, we were just talking about bad music. Straight at the deep end.
Yeah.
Save your shade for later. We will be talking about Shelter in terms of the actual content, but first we're going to discuss what happened to it on Reddit.
Yep.
It was posted on the anime board and was subsequently removed because it didn't comply with the rules.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't created. It was conceived. The idea was conceived, and the studio was hired by a non-Japanese man. So that just goes back to the whole debate of when is an anime no longer an anime, and honestly, I don't care.
It was created in the West. It's not an anime. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
It looks like anime.
Oh wait, no, Cory in the House is my favorite. Yeah,
Cory in the House. Cory in the House is the best anime.
My bad.
Top quality memeing right here.
Yeah, and a bunch of shade was thrown in every direction, and then it finally got put back up. So that's all there was.
To be fair,
Sounds like
I feel
classic
like
Reddit.
yeah, that firstly, but I also like I feel like trying to like moderate a message board on Reddit based on what you consider anime and what you don't is completely fucking stupid. Like, why would you even start trying to do that?
I mean, you say that, but our anime is stupid. I'm throwing that out there. So all sorts of stupid shit happens there. Like, there was a thread there the other day about how some people watch hentai and ecchi shows and then complain about them, say they're awful because they're hentai or ecchi. It's like, well, why were you watching it, you know? Like, I don't expect anything smart from there, basically.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is my favorite slice of life.
JoJo is a slice of life, as far as I'm aware. Like, there's bits of slice of life in it at some points.
Yeah. But that was all there was on that topic.
So
yeah,
since like
the last
well, I was going to say
the last,
a little bit about well, I don't know. I was going to say a little bit about Shelter, maybe.
Yeah, talk Shelter.
Yeah, go ahead.
So me and Kieran watched it like just before we started.
About half an hour ago now.
Yeah, and I liked it. It was pretty. The music was average, and it had that kind of like kick at the end where I was like, "Whoa!"
So like basically that, but like that's the thing. I like the plot. If you can, like it is still a plot, really.
Yeah.
The art style is really cool, and I love the fact that it like changes between these kind of like. You've got like a very like clean, crisp anime style, and like a much more sketchy style at points, and then like some hugely CGI sections and some that are like vaguely realistic. I love all of that. I love the environments and I love the character design on it, and I just kind of wish it wasn't that song.
Yeah, I think I'd have preferred it if it wasn't like a music video. If it was like just an actual short or like a one-off episode or something. But I can't really be helped. Because, like, obviously, it does seem like the creator had the idea in mind after listening to the song.
Yeah, it was a passion project by the creator because he hired a team from A1 Pictures to animate it. I guess he just had a couple of $1,000 lying around.
I think it's worrying that he could just. I mean, it was only for like 6 minutes of animation, I guess, but. The fact that he could just still throw only a couple of thousand at it and just be like, I've got money lying around, do this for me. And they're like, well, okay. Yeah, that seems like a good amount of money. But, yeah, that's, again, that's a whole other nightmare that doesn't want to be addressed.
Yeah, we'll talk about Shelter more when we discuss what we've seen.
Sure.
The only other piece of slightly to do with anime news that I never know if we should cover or save for games or whatever is the Kingdom Hearts 2.8/0.2 curse the person whoever names those games.
Well, it's 'cause it adds up to 3,
out.
Right? That's why they've done it, because it adds up to 3.
Shut up. But yeah, the opening movie came out, and it's digital liquid. That's how I describe something when you watch it, and it's just keep moving.
Like 0.2 is Birth by Sleep, right? Just being redone.
Yeah.
Is 2.8 a redone thing, or is it a new one?
I'm not sure. They had in the opening
Hearts continuity.
Whoa, Birth by Sleep
they
is a
showed
good game,
a
man.
lot. Yeah, and technically it's the first one in terms of chronologicalness.
1 and 2.
So you can just kind of play that.
Like 1 and 2
don't
were
wanna
good games
bother.
as well, but fuck Kingdom Hearts continuity. They have lost track of what is happening in the storyline.
My favorite Kingdom Hearts game is 356 divided by 2.
That's the first one I played. actually.
Oh, jeez.
And Kieran, just in case if you were wondering, yes, that is an actual subtitle for one of the games.
Oh, it's technically, I think they actually released a press statement saying that it was meant to be pronounced over to.
Yeah. Not a half.
Sorry.
When you have to release a press statement telling people how to say the name of your game, you've done something wrong. Also, to be fair, my favourite Kingdom Hearts is Chain of Memories, which is the shit one. So
I've not seen the opening movie yet, but does it have Utada Hikaru's one of her songs for it?
It has Simple and Clean.
Oh,
there's a remix of Simple and Clean.
I mean,
it's a really good remix.
I can't quite remember when abouts it was, but her contract with like Sony or Square Enix or whoever specifically it was with ended, and she didn't renew it. So basically, they don't have rights to any of her newer stuff. So, but they still like using her music. So essentially, at a certain point, they stopped using new songs by her and just started using remixes of her old songs.
Right, that makes sense.
So it's like I know it might be the same Simple and Clean remix that was used for Birth by Sleep initially as well. But
I don't know. No, it's a different remix.
Wow, so they now have multiple remixes. Fair enough.
How many times can we remix this song?
Thanks, Square Enix. They're at it.
Have they mixed the two Utada Hikaru like main songs together?
What? Simple and Clean and Sanctuary.
Made some weird like hybrid version.
That would be. I don't know what to think of that idea.
Matter of time.
I know. I think it's like a new remix because I haven't heard it before. But a bit of trivia. I actually once heard Sanctuary in my dream.
Whoa.
And I'd only heard the song like maybe once or twice before in my life, and like I was just dreaming and I heard the song and I couldn't even figure out where it was from.
The only thing I remember about Sanctuary is laughing at the opening section where it's like it says like I love you more than you could ever know or something, but it says it backwards, and so the first word is wonk.
See, I saw a video where they replayed the entire opening that played Sanctuary, and some of the backwards talk was like, my hero was Ansem.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just like, oh god.
Fair enough.
Well, there's videos of it, you can check it out, but god, the amount of like unnecessary continuity stuff they put in, I don't it hurts my brain.
I mean, it's Kingdom Hearts. It's just like a clusterfuck now.
I had to watch a fan-made documentary about what's been happening with the events, and I still get mixed up about who the hell is Xehanort.
There are like 8 different versions of Ansem. Half of them use different names, but half of them call themselves Ansem, and there are still like
there's Ansem,
only half of those are actually Ansem.
And then Xemnas and Xehanort and
Riku.
Yeah.
Looks like Ansem at one point. And then there's Diz, who is actually Ansem.
Yeah.
Then there's Terra, who was possessed by Ansem.
Yeah. Right.
There's Xehanort.
Not to mention like 5 versions of Sora as well. And
I messed up with Birth by Sleep because you have 3 stories, right? And you're supposed to probably play them as, I think it's like Terra, then Ventus, then Aqua, because like Terra's does like the main storytelling, and then Ventus does like the same from a different angle, from his angle, and then Aqua's kind of fills in the gaps. But when I went to play it, I looked at them and it's like, basically, choose which one you want to end up playing the story first. I was like, I'm playing Aqua. Fuck these guys. So I just got the fill-in for the story and not the main story. So like, you're just kind of doing stuff around, and you're like, oh, this is happening. That's a bit weird. Not really sure what's going on there. And then suddenly you're at the end of the like story after doing all this skirting around the edges, and it's like, what? Like, what's happened? Everything's gone to shit out of nowhere. Just what's going on? But Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. This is what happens when you start talking about Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
Let's stop then.
Yes.
Was there more news stuff to cover?
I had a few things to mention, but very briefly. So they're all like 2 of them are films. So people may have heard, but Shinkai's new film, Kimi no Nawa, has been done pretty well in Japan, and is getting international screenings like all over the place. We're getting a bunch in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna go see it on the 24th, I think, of November in my local cinema.
Me and John decided to go see it if it comes out.
Cool. I know Funimation are currently prepping it for a week-long screening in Hollywood, so it can be nominated for the Oscars. Like, it's done pretty well. And then I don't know if I really want to talk about what it's about, because I don't know too much other than it's about 2 kids who kind of, I think, swap bodies in their dreams or something. And one's from the countryside, one's from the city, and then stuff happens, and there ends up being like a grander plot that they have to try and sort out or save or something. But it sounds pretty good, generally. And if people like good anime, I think they should go see it, because it's done by a really good director.
I recommend any of Makoto Shinkai's stuff.
Yep.
I once went to a screening where they showed his very first film, which was Voices of a Distant Star, I think it was called. And apparently the original, the one we saw, was redubbed with professional voice actors, but the very first one was him and his girlfriend voicing the characters.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Any Shinkai film, good, definitely worth watching, or most Shinkai films at least. I've still only seen maybe 1 or 2, but that's just because I don't watch that many films nowadays. But I should get on that. But on a similar film note, last weekend MCM happened. I know both you and Kieran went at points during the weekend.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of like announcements from like Anime Limited, MVM Entertainment, and the other one that does licensing for the UK. And it's like, oh, we've licensed this series. Oh, we've licensed this series. And most of them are like, oh, okay, that's nice. But the big one that stood out to me was Anime Limited said they've licensed Koei no Katachi, and they're aiming to screen it around the country in December, which again I'm looking forward to, and I will try my best to go to that, because it's animated by Kyoto Animation, so it's gonna look nice. It looks nice because it's, they make everything look nice, like Haruhi and Hibike Euphonium and everything everything they do looks nice. And it's, as far as the plot goes, it's about a guy who bullies a deaf girl to the point where she ends up transferring schools. And because he bullied this girl, everyone ends up ostracizing him, and he kind of ends up being a loner and gets bullied himself. And then, I think he ends up meeting her again in high school. Like, they end up going to the same high school, and it's kind of a story about him trying to redeem himself as a person. And it's one of those kind of subjects that's really touchy that could be really good. And I've got a friend who went to Scotland Loves Anime in October, and they showed both Koei no Katachi and Kimi no Nawa there, and he said that Koei no Katachi is really good. Really good. So I'm excited for that.
It sounds like it can be very sweet.
Definitely. And then the only other thing I had on my list is, as of today, there's been an OVA announced for Fate Grand Order, and I'm only mentioning it as someone who plays mobile games quite a bit and really likes the Fate series. So I'm going to watch it anyway. But that's not even, like, that's a really tiny bit of news in Fate news, because everyone else is like Heaven's Feel, wow, which there's going to be an announcement about this weekend or something. But that's all there is really on the news front, I think. Unless you guys have anything else.
Nope.
Well, there's always news that's been happening with the series Bleach.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to discuss it because it's like just like little pieces of news that don't really add anything. Like Bleach ended, people didn't really like the ending all that much. Some people even burned their whole Bleach collections.
Wow.
Oh my god!
Talk about extreme.
Then they took a picture of it and posted it online.
Then people laughed at them for wasting money.
Yeah, and then the film was announced, like a live action adaptation, and some images came out of it, and it didn't look very promising. And yeah, it just hasn't been a very good run.
With the Bleach ending, so I read Bleach up until the point where I felt like it should have ended, and then it didn't. It kept going, and I just stopped.
So that's like what, Soul Society arc? That's
Aizen.
Oh, okay. End of Aizen, fair. So
yeah.
So
like,
you haven't read the
there was an ending there that made sense to me.
Yeah.
And then when it just kept going and it was like, oh, he conveniently lost his powers. No, fuck off. Like, that's just an excuse to have more bullshit filler while he gets them back. Anyway.
Hey, the Fullbring arc was actually okay. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the Fullbring arc. That was a pretty cool arc.
From what I know of the Bleach ending, it's basically what happened at the end of Harry Potter, where everyone lived happily together and everyone just couples up conveniently and has kids.
Well,
or all friends.
Wait, you say conveniently, but the people that actually couple up didn't just conveniently couple up. Like, I mean, it's nearly said he's called Bleach. No, it's like Ichigo and Orihime, which is obvious from chapter 1.
Well, sure. Although I still know people who argued about whether or not Ichigo and Rukia would get together.
The other one,
I know it's Rukia and Renji.
The other real pairing in it is Rukia and Renji, and that also makes like perfect sense because during the Soul Society arc, when they actually interact, you can tell they're quite like really close anyway. It's like I didn't mind the ending, to be honest. I thought it was an okay ending, like considering how dragged out it was getting.
But it is still very Harry Potter. Like,
I don't disagree.
Everyone conveniently lived happily, and Kyoraku becomes the just everything, just like, oh, isn't this all nice and happy for everyone?
The bit that bothered me the most about the ending is the fact that like he'd had so near the end of the series, Kubo had several fights going on at once. And some of the fights you just didn't hear from again. Like they hadn't the fight had basically ended, but you didn't quite know what had happened to the characters in the fight. And then he went
just assume they're dead.
Well, that's the thing. He just kind of then went and finished Ichigo's fight with the big bad, and then went forward in time and didn't show any of the characters or imply anything about them other than the fact that they're not there, which obviously I guess implies that they're dead. But
resolving those fights would have meant paying his artists more.
Yeah, well, Kubo. Fucking Kubo, man.
I will never get tired of that story.
But yeah. Bleach happened is the best way to put it, I think.
Yeah.
Bleach was a thing. Not necessarily a good thing, but a thing.
It's okay.
And to be fair, I liked Bleach for as long as I read it.
Yeah, that's fair. I liked most of Bleach, generally. But
it was cheesy as all hell.
Well, that's because it's
you kind of expect that going in, yeah.
Yeah. So, where should we start?
That's probably it.
Yeah, that's basically on the news. Does anyone want to step up to the plate with stuff that they've watched recently, or are watching, or anything like that?
I'll go first.
Sure.
Well, I guess we all can jump in with this one, which is Shelter.
Yeah.
So right. How much do you want to discuss without any spoilers? Or should we do spoilers?
I mean, it's 6 minutes long.
Yeah. Basically, if you've not watched Shelter, pause now, go watch Shelter, come back.
Yeah, that's the easy way to do it spoiler-wise. We're going to talk about it properly, because otherwise there is very little to say as it's only 6 minutes long. So just pause podcast, open up Shelter in a different window. It's literally the first result if you search it on YouTube. Watch it, 6 minutes long. Right.
Yeah. So, what you guys said about the song, I think that the creator must have heard the song first and attached the story to the song or something along that line, because the song at times just feels a little too convenient with what it's saying.
They were definitely. It was either that the song was made first.
Yeah, one's made for the other. Basically,
they were made in tandem.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, exactly that. Like either he was like, I've come up with this idea after listening to some music, or that he was like, I have an idea, make some music for it. That like on this strict kind of guide, because they link very, very closely.
Yeah, and that's not bad. I usually, when I listen to music, I get like images in my head, like thinking, oh, this would be a cool music video.
I've had scary dreams to some songs, and they're fantastic.
Stop listening to This Is Halloween.
I left, there's a band, the one who did the soundtrack for No Man's Sky, 65 Days of Static.
Did you have a nightmare about No Man's Sky? Is that what this is?
Obviously, yeah. No, like, the band's really good, and I left one of their songs on overnight, and I was in that kind of like half awake, half asleep state, and had this creepy zombie dream where it was like this girl escaping from zombies and basically throwing other people to the other survivors to the zombies to save her and her brother.
Like that nightmare could have been worse. You could have been.
It was crazy.
You could have been in the middle of space. You know someone's right next to you, but you can't interact with them. It could have been that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, no,
but
yeah.
Kieran, you thought that the song was like you wish it was like some other song, or it was.
Yeah.
There wasn't a song.
Basically,
I thought it was okay.
I thought the song was really, really generic and a little bit repetitive at times. Basically, like, especially earlier on. And I feel like it would have been better just without the song and with just as like a mini video at the end.
Well, there was actually a petition to turn Shelter into a series. But I don't know. Like I think you find out enough information just in those 6 minutes.
Yeah, like it does a really good job of kind of telling this not massive, this relatively small story, like kind of centralized around this girl. Or at least I felt, it did feel like it told the story pretty well. I don't really know what you could do with it as a series, though.
Like, I can think of ways you could make it a series, but it would be very much like we are forcing ourselves to make this into a series. Like, it doesn't naturally lend itself to a bigger plot.
Unless, I guess, you make a series carrying on from where it ended, but...
I guess, that's probably the only thing that could be done.
Should we say what actually happens in the video?
We can do. Because if people hear it now after we told them to watch it, I mean, it's their fault.
Oh, to be fair, we also don't need to go into like, huge depth on it because we've told people to go and watch it.
That's true.
Yeah. So there's this girl who exists in like the perfect world where that she controls using her iPad. Other tablets are available. And she just, whatever she draws on this tablet gets created in that fantasy world, and then stuff starts popping up that she didn't draw, and she goes over to touch it, and suddenly Vietnam-style flashbacks ensue. After that, she just like keeps drawing stuff and keeps seeing all these flashbacks of herself when she was young, and it turns out that she is actually floating around in space inside a capsule that her father built because Earth has ended after another planet smashed into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought someone was giving me a clap.
No, just me catching something. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the thing, like, even if you extended that into a full series, like, what do you do? Okay, well, you could do a series on how, like, the end of the planet came to be or whatever.
Yeah.
But then that's very distant to the idea of the video. Like, it's related, but it's not the same atmosphere and the same feeling behind it. So
yeah,
that wouldn't quite work.
Whatever you did with it would end up being, like, the same in name only. Like,
yeah, it would just water down.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a good idea at all. To be fair.
Yeah, even if it was an OVA, I struggle to think of what you can stretch out.
Well, I was going to say, I could see it being like an OVA sort of thing, but basically doing it, instead of just one song, do it as an album.
You mean like Daft Punk Discovery, sort of?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that, because Interstellar I've watched like 5 times, so I'd watch it, I guess.
I rewatched it last week.
I mean, it does require, like, if they did that as an album, like, I think the song itself was fine, it was okay, but it'd need more quality on as far as the song goes for me to actually be like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this, I'm gonna enjoy it, and then I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the only reason I've really watched Interstellar so many times, because I like the album. So
right, what else have you guys been watching? Because I know there's some stuff we can talk about.
Yeah.
So I've got a few things I could talk about. I think I'm going to throw Keijo in first. Let's
yeah, we mentioned that one earlier.
So we're getting it in there. So Keijo is a series about it's like an alternate universe where there's a sport that has been invented called Keijo, where girls play it. They're on this little, like, float in like a pool that they refer to as a land, right? And the objective is to knock the other girls off or knock them out, so they can't, or make their, like, any part of their body aside from their feet touch the ground. But the like, I guess the twist of it, or the gimmick of it, is that they can only use their butts and their chest to make contact with people. So, as you can tell by the idea, it's got certain lewd connotations. But I went into it expecting something really kind of just standard, just a bit of fun, and it's really fun, but it's way more fun than I expected, and I've watched all 4 episodes so far, and it's not got boring just yet. Like,
here's the thing, I'm sat here sighing, like, this sounds really dumb, but it is everything I would hate in a series.
Yeah.
I don't like stuff that is, like, really exaggerated and over the top, and that sounds exactly like it.
You didn't like Gurren Lagann, did you?
No, I didn't.
And that's, like, I mean, it's not the same thing, because, like, Gurren Lagann's really kind of like, fuck logic, gung-ho, let's just win nonsense, whereas Keijo's nonsense from the just pure concept, but part of its charms, so first off, it's got a load of references. It goes hard and fast with references. One of the characters is, like, almost, like, as far as character design goes, she's almost entirely just a straight rip from Toho.
Right.
Like, she's really heavily based off Cerno, the ice fairy girl. Yeah. Like, one of the characters has, because they've all got special techniques, because it's like Beyblade in how serious it gets, right? So it's played super serious in universe, which makes it funny on the outside. Although when you watch Beyblade, you're a kid, so you found it awesome rather than funny. Besides the point. One of the girls, her ability is that she's got, like, this hand. I mean, I don't want to go into it too much, but her hand's like, she can, like, read people's abilities and, like, physiology with her hand. So, with her hand, she can kind of, like, copy their abilities. Sort of. So then she gets this. She has like a I've lost it. Right, no. So she has this special ability that's literally a rip from Fate, or in a sense, like as far as reference goes in design and appearance, it is exactly like it's from Fate. It's ridiculous, and they call it, I think, the Hip of Babylon, and it looks just like Gilgamesh's Gate of Babylon, like
I hate
ability.
everything about this.
It's beautiful, and the terminology that's used in it. There's one of the girls is really fast. She her like attack, her like signature move is to like attack, like do a load of hip thrusts really quickly, and she calls it butt gatling. And but not only does she call it butt gatling, like people all refer to it as butt gatling. It's actual official terminology in the series. Like it's beautiful. Like it's so stupid.
Everything.
I mean,
mind if I interject?
Sure.
I've only seen the first episode, and I knew that this would be something great to watch when you're drunk or something.
Yeah.
Is when I can't remember their names, but when it was the black-haired girl and the white-haired girl fighting, and the black-haired girl goes to strike the white-haired girl with her butt, and then you see the white-haired girl's chest just inflate. And
for reference,
and
she's very flat generally. So that's yeah.
Yeah, and the black-haired girl is just like, what the fuck? And what happened was the white-haired girl is so fast that the entire time she was actually already bent over, ready to strike, and her butt was being like in place of her boobs, like a mirage, and then the top part of her body disappeared, like faded away, and you see that she's actually already about to strike.
Well, it's a little bit like it reminds me of the after image thing that was way back in near the beginning of Dragon Ball, where Master Roshi taught Goku how to like basically leave an image of himself as you would imagine from the after image, and then just like strike from a different direction. It's like, but the nature of the game makes those kind of serious techniques just seem ridiculous, and it's I think my favorite bit, though, about the first episode, I know that was the one that loads of people went on about, just because as the girl's falling off the land, she just goes, "Is that a butt that looks like giant boobs?" Or something like that. So everyone was going crazy about that. But I was more focused on, the pink-haired girl that appears? When she kind of jumps in next to the main character who's being ganged up on this little thin stretch with like people on either side, and she just jumps in and she's like, "Mind if I have some fun?" And this was the most it was so badass that I didn't expect. It's just ridiculous in how much I didn't expect it to be in Keijo of all shows. She hits, so basically, Kieran, she knocks people out of the competition by knocking them out, by hitting them on the jaw with her butt to hard enough that their jaw shakes, and in conjunction ends up making their brain rattle and knocks them unconscious. And then they fall onto the land and then get knocked out. It's so convoluted as a method, but they animate it in that she's so fast you don't see what she's doing at first, and everyone's like, "What's going on?" And it feels like it's just straight out of Beyblade, or hell, even something like JoJo. Just
it sounds like Dragon Ball with tits.
I mean, you could say that. Sure, you could say it's Dragon Ball with tits. I don't know, but yeah, it's entertaining to watch, is what I was trying to say. And there's another episode coming tomorrow, I think. So that's going to be good.
Which will be today when this is released.
Yes, today on release.
Yes.
There is also another thing that I forgot to mention about how it reminds me of Beyblade, in that they have special versions of their floats. So one of the battles was on what they called a seesaw land, which was just like a rounded dome at the bottom so that it tilted a lot more when you stood on one side. one of them was just a lot of poles in the water standing out. Like it is just like how Beyblade started getting these really gimmicky arenas, when really it's just spinning tops trying to knock each other out of the arena, and like these arenas are starting to become things like mini models of Himeji Castle.
But the spinning tops are tits.
Yes.
I remember when I was still watching Beyblade. I think I was maybe around like 10. And they got to some kind of championship, and they introduced I think that was the first gimmicky arena, and it had there was a spinning part in the middle that was spinning the opposite way to the way your Beyblade would spin.
I remember that.
And if your Beyblade got stuck in that part, it would go flying off of the arena, and you were automatically out. And I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? But that makes no sense, because you can't control those spinning tops. And when I think back to the action shots of those spinning tops, they're just spinning tops hitting each other.
Well, yeah, but it was really exciting at the time.
I never got into Beyblade. I never understood it.
I don't understand you, Kieran. How could you not? How could you not, man? It's
because I didn't like spinning
Beyblade.
tops.
Fair enough. I didn't even like spinning tops that much, and then Beyblade came out, and then I started buying a load of Beyblades. I have a tin somewhere in my room just filled with Beyblade.
See, back in Lithuania, we had Cheetos packets, and inside every single Cheetos packet, when Beyblade was really popular, you could find these like little plastic pieces that you could build your own mini Beyblade. And what we would always do was we just get a load of these mini Beyblades. We go to the library during lunchtime, and we would build ramps out of books.
Yes.
Oh, no.
And we had little Beyblade competitions of how high can you spin your Beyblade up this ramp.
Fair. So
I'm going to quickly ramble about... So you guys have probably both seen this before, but I've been watching Durarara.
I actually haven't watched Durarara
for the last few days.
As much as I go on about how you should actually watch the stuff that's on your list because it's good, I haven't actually watched Durarara yet. It's still on my list as well.
Do it.
Oh yeah.
So the thing is, I expect a lot of people listening will have already watched Durarara.
Yes.
But the thing is, most people I know, and whenever I talk to people about anime, I always say my favorite series is Baccano, and
they go, "You should watch."
I don't know it. I don't know Baccano. What is it? And then I'll say I want to watch Durarara because it's made by the people who did Baccano, and they go, "Oh, it's really good." So this is basically me rambling about how good Durarara is, and how it's really similar to Baccano, because now more people should watch Baccano.
Yeah.
But they are ridiculously similar. I watched the entirety of the first series of Durarara. Durarara. Over the last 2 days, and then I started the second season today.
Yeah.
And I love it when anime or anything, books, games, anime, whatever. But I love it when series have no main character and there's a lot of different ones.
Yeah.
Durarara does technically have a main character, but then you'll have some episodes where they show up once. And the whole thing has the weird time hops everywhere. It's weirdly jarring over the first few episodes, different styles, introducing loads of new characters. But I kind of expected that because that's what Baccano does. And
yeah,
I love it. There's so many dumb references. There are movie posters at one point, and on one side it's Darker Than Black, and on the other side it's Baccano on the ones that matter.
Nice.
And I love it. But and then right near the end it fucking kicks full gear on emotions, and I'm half broken and half just give me more. So yeah, it's been good. It's been a fucking roller coaster.
I know
you mentioned Darker Than Black, and I would gladly go into a long rant about it, but we don't have enough time in this episode for that.
We'll do that someday, probably. I know. Obviously, because you talk about how much you love Baccano, and I also really love Baccano. And I've said this to you before recently, but I think you should probably watch 91 Days as well, which aired last season. Which is probably my anime of the season actually, because it's made by the same people. It's a similar setting in Prohibition America, but it's got like the kind of Count of Monte Cristo revenge plot going on, and it's kind of got quite a lot of odes to like gangster movies in it and stuff. Pretty neat.
Fair, yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I was watching it with a couple of people at the same time. One of them being Joe, who hates most stuff that I like just because out of spite, I guess. But but he actually couldn't. He was like, I can't say this is bad. Like, he normally just says whatever. If I like something, he says it's bad because he knows it'll bother me if he goes on about how bad it is, regardless of whether he enjoyed it. But yeah, he couldn't say anything bad about 91 Days particularly. So that says something about it, right? I guess.
I'll give that a try at some point then.
Yeah, you should. Do we have any other series? Sylth, do you have?
I do. I do. Do we have enough time? Do we have enough time?
Enough time for
keep it
quick.
But yeah.
Okay. So I recently watched Welcome to the NHK.
Yes.
Have either of you seen it?
I know bits and pieces.
I know enough about it to understand why people have watched it and why, and generally the premise. But yeah, I haven't personally watched it yet.
Yeah, so I've heard a few people mention it, but not a lot of people talk about it as much as I think it should be discussed. I quite liked it. The ending, pretty disappointing, like not much happens. I tried reading the manga's ending. It had a bit more going on, but ultimately same amount of disappointment.
Right.
Should I say what it's about?
General premise is fine. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so there's the main character who is a NEET, which means not in education, employment, or training. He's basically living by himself, I think in Tokyo, living off his parents' a little package his parents sent him every month. And he just kind of does nothing every single day, watches TV, eats food, and doesn't leave his home because one day he just kind of, I guess, snapped or something, and just suddenly felt like the whole world is turned against him and just doesn't want to go out anymore. And he, I think, well, in the manga he takes drugs, but that doesn't happen in the anime. He hallucinates that his furniture talks to him, and the furniture is convincing him that his reclusiveness is due to a conspiracy called the NHK, which means it's a Japanese translation, but the Nihon Hikikomori, I can't remember what the K is for, but it basically means the Japanese Hikikomori Association. And he thinks that people make shitty anime in order to create more otakus so that they become NEETs. And I'm not quite sure how his logic works, but I guess when you're hallucinating or furniture talking to you, you're not going to have that much common sense about you. And he basically meets this girl who has chosen him as her test subject for some kind of project, and she wants to help him not be a NEET anymore. Overall, I really liked it. There's like a huge tonal shift around halfway through, and it goes from haha funny to like, oh god, this is too real. Stop, please.
That's what I've heard about it, at least, because I mean, like you said, not too many people talk about it, but one of the like circle of people that I do talk to about anime like is filled with the kind of people who are exactly the type to like go, oh, welcome to the NHK. I've watched it. It's great. All these people haven't seen it. They're losers because they don't know real anime. You know. So I've heard quite a bit about it.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not like perfect or anything. Like I said, the ending left a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
And depending on the kind of person you are, you'll probably associate yourself more with specific characters. So if you are a recluse or a neat type, you'll probably associate more with the main character. If you're a video game designer, you'll like a struggling up and coming video game designer, you'll probably associate more with the main character's best friend.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm glad that I watched it because, strangely enough, a lot of what was happening in that anime applied to my life, like what was happening as I was watching it. I'm like, wow, they kind of get it.
I think
except they were making I watched the English dub, and one of the episodes just ends with. Oh, shut up. One of the episodes just ends with the main guy's friend going, hentai games.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I will have to actually bump it up my list and watch it sooner.
It sounds like a mindfuck and kind of depressing at points. And I opened up by saying I like all the miserable shit. So that sounds like exactly what I should be watching.
Yoshi, you will love it. It will make you feel like utter crap.
And then watch Banana afterwards to pick yourself up.
Yes, yes. God. Have you watched Banana yet? Watch freaking Banana.
So you guys have told me I need to. No.
Yeah, there's.
I probably will just to talk about it. It'll be funny.
I mean, you say you like depressing shit, so there's quite a few things I could recommend to you. Actually, now I think about that.
I'll get a full list at some point. I'm actually catching up on stuff now because of podcasting. So I'll probably take a full list and marathon through it over the next few months.
How much time do we have left? Think I can?
Not much, but
I think
if it's quick, just ramble.
I'm gonna quickly mention something I think most people should be watching this season, because there's quite a few things this season that I'm enjoying. Keijo, one of the less serious ones, but this is Sangatsu no Lion. It's animated by Shaft, so I already love it. It's not technically true, but everything that Shaft have done that I've watched, I've really enjoyed. So there you go. It's about a kid who's in high school, who's a professional shogi player, which, if you don't know, is basically Japanese chess. And when he was young, his parents died, I think, and he's ended up being adopted into like a family, which is the reason he started becoming a professional shogi player, because his adopted father is a shogi player. But his adopted family kind of don't like him that much, and they got this really awkward situation where, like, at the start he beats his adopted father in a game, and he knows that as a result, his father's gonna miss out on some opportunity in terms of like a tournament or something because he got beaten. And then there's this kind of awkward tension between them. His adopted siblings hate him and stuff. But then, so his life is really depressing, right? There's all this awful stuff going on it. And then he goes to this house where he's made friends with a family of 3 sisters and a grandfather, because you don't know what happened with the dad, but the mother and the grandmother died at some point before the series started. And the 3 sisters, like, you go there and the place is really nice. They've got this really vibrant atmosphere in the house because one of them's a small kid, one of them's in middle school, the other's a grown-up, like, looking after her sisters, helping her grandfather with his shop, being a hostess to make money, things like that. So the house is really nice and warm and friendly, and it's like this big contrast to his normal life. And then you get this kind of twist at points where he goes, like, when he's not there, you can see the struggles of their life as well, because like it's still a fresh wound, like losing their mother and their grandmother and stuff. So, but they don't try to show it to him because he's got his own stuff going on. It's this really nice just piece that is well animated, really well directed. It's directed by Shimbo, name drops, who did Madoka, which is one of my favorite series ever, Sumi, and Monogatari and some other stuff. Like, it's just got
What was it called?
Sangatsu no Lion, or I think the English name is March Comes in Like a Lion, something like that. It's, I think it's like a dark horse sort of this season. Like, it's really good. Well, I think it's amazing anyway, but there's not many people are talking about it, because people are talking about Keijo and like Izetta the Last Witch, because you know that's about World War II and is good, but like Sangatsu no Lion is just one of those kind of pieces that it's kind of like an analysis almost on life in a way. I like it. I can't really say
Sounds
much
cool.
about
Yeah,
it.
it sounds like something I should check out. That sounds really interesting to me.
There is one
Yeah,
slight thing.
you should. It's depressing.
Yeah, there's one slight bit that irks me about it, and that's that the kind of default expression on everyone's face looks like they're tortured. I think I heard someone say they described it as everyone's default emotion was a frowny emoticon. Like, and I totally see it, and it is a bit bothersome, but I got past that after like the first episode, because I got pulled in by this really nice, fluffy atmosphere of a household of these three sisters, who are all fairly reputable voice actresses as well. Like, Kana Hanazawa's the middle one, she's in basically everything. The kid is the same person who voiced Nico in Kisnaiva, who I thought did a really good job of doing this kind of wacky kid, and she's playing a really energetic, like, crazy child. Like, the acting's good, or the voice acting's good, the direction's good. Everyone should just go watch it. Like, everyone should just go watch it. Even if you don't watch anime, just go watch it. It's fine. But yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about Sangatsu no Lion briefly.
Cool. Yeah. I guess that's probably about it.
Yeah,
we've gone a little bit over an hour.
It's fine.
By which I mean we're at about an hour 15.
Yeah.
But
come back next time when we dissect the next Keijo episode.
The next
few. The next one's in
even
4
better.
weeks, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll probably discuss news again. Probably some more stuff about this season. Maybe some old stuff, you know. And we'll maybe even bring Yoshi in again and talk about what, like the fact you watched Haruhi finally? You finished Haruhi?
I have watched the Haruhi movie and second season, but that was a bit before.
But if we plan to do that, I'm gonna rewatch it so I can refresh myself.
Brief summary of thoughts is movie is good. Surprised that people said it was so Yuki centric and like not about Haruhi, because it's still very much about Haruhi.
Yeah. Movie's great. I love it.
But yeah, movie is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cool. Okay.
So that's that, I guess. The next episode overall of the podcast is, I want to say Tuesday? Wednesday?
It's Tuesday gaming.
Tuesday, and it's gaming. We're not sure what's happening as to what specifically yet.
Yeah, we'll probably get a few more of the new hosts in, so by that point, since the reboot, as it were, everyone will have hosted by that point. Hopefully, assuming nothing goes drastically wrong again.
Oh yeah,
we can hope. We can hope.
Yes, this is the second episode in a row where we've called upon our savior to grace us. I
was meant to do one of these three.
Yeah, because we were supposed to have Dan. Unfortunately, internet cut out, and we weren't sure when it was going to come back. So we dragged in our ever experienced friend here.
Ever miserable.
Ever miserable. Yeah, I can't. It's not the same unless you're saying to me that you hate me. Like, it's not. There's not the right dynamic going on, you know.
But yeah, hopefully we'll have Grant, Lulu, and then a third person for gaming, and that should be everyone by that point. Cool. Any final things to add?
Watch Sangatsu no Lion.
Watch Banana.
Yeah.
Watch Bakano.
There we go. See you.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.